Welcome back, guys. Thanks for all of you who have subscribed to my channel. Today I want to talk about unemployment rate. An issue came up because I was speaking to a close friend of mine, actually closer to family than friend. And the person did not understand how the unemployment rate works. The person's comment was, if the unemployment rate is low, how is that good for the economy, right? Because the person is thinking that unemployment being low is a bad thing. So I will explain today, and I'm going to use some examples to show you what unemployment is. Because like I said, I hate it when I hear Jamaican people out here making videos or making statements that they don't understand, right? So unemployment, as it says, is simply people not employed. Any word that has the term on in front of it means not. On is just a prefix that means not. So you have employed, as in people who are working, and you put on in front of it, and it becomes unemployed, means people not working. Unemployment is simply the number of unemployed people in the economy divided by the total labor force. And that is used as unemployment rate. Now, there are some other factors that affects it as well, but I don't want to make it too convoluted, so I'm just going to use the simplest explanation there is. Okay? So I have in front of me two pieces of paper. Consider the red paper to be unemployment, and consider the green paper to be employment. Now, unemployment rate is basically a scale, right, of employment versus people who are not employed, right? Now, when people gain job in the economy, employment goes up and unemployment goes down. So whenever unemployment is down, it means that it goes down because people have gotten more jobs. There are more people working in the economy, and so it goes up. Think of it as like a seesaw. When one goes up, the other goes down. If people start losing jobs in the economy, then employment, which is the green paper, comes down, and unemployment, which is the red paper, goes up, right? This is a bad situation. If the unemployment rate is high, it is bad. This is a good situation. If the unemployment rate is low, it is good. It means that people are finding more jobs. Like I said, there are other things that affects the unemployment rate, like the number of people who are not seeking jobs, the number of people who are operating their own businesses. All these things will affect the unemployment rate. However, generally, in the simplest way, as people find more jobs in the economy, the employment rate goes high and the unemployment rate goes down. Remember, it's a seesaw. They work basically together. One goes up, pushes the other one down. One goes down, it pushes the other one up. So this is a good situation. Unemployment is low, employment is high, right? That's basically how it works. So the whole question arises because we were talking about the fact that Jamaican unemployment rate is the lowest it has ever been in history, meaning that the Jamaican economy is turning over more jobs, is giving people more jobs than at any other point in history. And the situation is gotten so good that now the government have to be begging people to come back to Jamaica to take some of these jobs, right? They're asking also people from outside to come to get jobs because there is a lot of jobs in the economy that is not being filled by people in the local population. So the suffering that we're hearing about that is going on in Jamaica, that people are doing rounds on TikTok, on YouTube talking about, is merely a factor of the mind. Because many of the people who are making these videos, they are not looking for jobs, or they are not looking for jobs for which they are qualified. That is an entirely different thing. If you don't have experience in managerial positions, or if you don't have qualifications in managerial positions, then obviously if you're applying for a position as a manager, you're not going to get that position. But you cannot say it's because those jobs are not available, right? It's simply because you are not applying for the correct jobs, the jobs for which you are qualified, right? And so that is the issue that is going on, because I see videos where people are saying, oh, there's mass suffering. In my entire life in Jamaica, I have never seen a situation where the country is putting out so many jobs, that there are so many jobs in the country that the government has to be asking people to come back to get jobs. And to show you that demand for workers, is so high, minimum wage is at an all-time high. When I left Jamaica, minimum wage was probably like about 6,000 to 7,000. I don't remember the exact figure, but that's something where it was. Now it is more than twice that amount, right? Because it is, from what I understand, it's like 16,000 something now, which is more than twice the amount of what it was before, right? Increase in minimum wage is usually an encouragement for people to go and look for jobs. It's an encouragement for people to find jobs, right? However, if people in the society does not seek jobs, then the government has no alternative than to get people from outside. Because if you have jobs with no workers, then it keeps the economy stagnant, right? If you have jobs and no people are working, then it keeps the economy stagnant, as I said, right? One of the main problems that Jamaica have is that some people don't believe in working. And some people have support from overseas to the point where they don't need to work. If you look at the analysis, Jamaica is the third least productive country in the Caribbean concerning its own labor force within the country. Somehow people within Jamaica refuses to work, but the moment they go overseas to another country, they will find 2-3 jobs. They will do the same thing with education. People in Jamaica will not go back to school to acquire a new skill, but the moment they come to America, they're back in school. All the people who couldn't read in Jamaica, they're getting certifications in America or in Canada or in England. But in Jamaica, for some reason, no matter how free the government make Jamal and all these places for people to go to acquire new skill, they won't acquire new skills, right? But when they come to America, for some reason, they'll do it, right? Now, Jamal might just be for reading, but reading is an important skill, right? You have other places in Jamaica that teaches skills that people can learn, but most people don't want to acquire new skills while they're in Jamaica. And like I said, even so, you have some people who have acquired skills but does not make use of it. The average Jamaican have at least 4 trades. You have a Jamaican who's a plumber, he's a carpenter, he's a mason, he's all these things, but at the same time, he is not seeking work. He's also not creating any businesses or starting anything that is going to hire people and pay himself, because he thinks maybe it is too hard, or maybe he feels that he's not going to have access, or all that kind of stuff. So these are just additional comments to what I was explaining before. So because these people are not seeking jobs, even though they have skills, they remain unemployed, right? And as of this moment, as I've said in the beginning of the video, the unemployment rate in Jamaica is the lowest it has ever been in history. literally, which means that there are more jobs available for people who are seeking jobs, and that is a good thing. Now, like I said, if you like the videos that I'm putting out, subscribe to the channel, and if I get a certain amount of subscription, I'll definitely put more videos out explaining some of these things so that you can understand how they work, some of the factors that affect them, and all that kind of good stuff. Thanks again for joining me, and see you on the next one.